Many of the parents I know are mama bears and papa bears, protective of their children. But the fiercest mama bear I've met is the poet and memoirist Heather Lanier. Her husband Justin was my classmate in seminary. Heather and Justin have to be mama bear and papa bear. When their older daughter Fiona was 3 months old, she was diagnosed with a rare genetic deletion that causes physical and intellectual disabilities. Fiona is now a thriving 11-year-old, and as Heather and Justin will tell you, parenting her is a constant struggle to get Fiona the support she needs while challenging an assumption, sometimes unsaid, sometimes overtly stated, that people with disabilities are less than fully human, that their lives are worth less or not worth living at all. Heather writes that after yet another exchange with a stranger on the internet, this one insisting that good mothering is wanting what's best for your children, meaning wanting them not to have any disabilities, a sadness Heather couldn't quite name made her back away from the computer. Later that night, discussing it with Justin, she found the words for what she was feeling. She said, "It's hard having a child that other people actively don't want." The parents of the man born blind must have known exactly what Heather was talking about. No one wants this man. The neighbors look at him, they see only a burden on society, someone who will never earn his own living and make a contribution. The Pharisees, the religious leaders, they see only a means to their end of undermining Jesus. Even Jesus' disciples see only sin. This man's sin or his parents' sin, it doesn't matter. Somebody must have done something to cause this disability. This man's problem is not that he can't see. He is and has always been a precious child of God, created in God's image exactly the way he is. This man's problem is that he is rejected, unloved, unknown. More than anything else, more than sight, he longs for someone to want him. He wants to belong. When Jesus heals this man, spits on the ground to make mud, and uses the mud of the earth from which all humanity is made to give him the new birth of sight, nobody seems happy about it. No one asks him what it's like to see, which color he likes best, or whether people and houses and trees look the way he imagined. No one celebrates with this man. They just keep on pushing him away. The neighbors disbelieve him, then pester him with questions. The religious leaders put him through an interrogation. They don't like his answers, so they interrogate his parents. Then the leaders call the man back for another interrogation. Again, they don't like his answers. They berate him for being presumptuous when he's only been honest with them. And then they drive him out as though he's a stray dog. "We don't want you. Go away." But Jesus wants this man. Jesus hears that the religious leaders have driven him out, and Jesus goes to find him. Jesus asks, "Do you believe in the Son of Man? Not with your mind, but with your heart, your loyalty, your trust." The man replies, "Who is he? Tell me so that I may trust him and give him my loyalty." Jesus says, "You have seen him, and before you could see him, you heard his voice. The one speaking to you is he." And the man says, "Lord, I believe. I trust you. I give you my heart and my loyalty." Jesus wants this man, and this man wants Jesus. And the story goes on, although we didn't hear the ending today. Jesus illustrates why he has healed this man, why he found him and invited him to this profession of trust. Because Jesus is the gate for the sheep. Whoever enters by him will come in and go out and find pasture in safety. And Jesus is the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd knows his own sheep, and his own sheep know him. He calls his sheep by name. They know his voice, and they follow him. The Good Shepherd protects his flock, even at the cost of his own life. When one sheep is lost, when it wanders off or the other sheep run it out of the flock, the Good Shepherd goes out to find that lost sheep and bring it home. The man who was healed remembers his first moment of encounter with Jesus, hearing Jesus' voice. He could not see Jesus, but he recognized the voice of the Good Shepherd calling his name. That was the true healing. Not the mud and washing in the pool of Siloam and getting able to see, but the moment Jesus called his name and ended the loneliness and rejection and said, "I want you. With me, you belong." Heather Lanier is one of those people who teaches through their writing. And something she writes again and again is that nearly everyone will be disabled at some point in their lives. Any human being is only temporarily able-bodied and able-minded. And in making the world more hospitable for kids like Fiona, a world where everyone is valued as a beloved child of God regardless of their abilities, we're making a better world for all of us. I've been remembering this a lot the last few weeks as I've spent time with both my mother-in-law and my mother. My mother-in-law is cognitively as sharp as she ever was, but at 90 years old, her body is failing her. She's increasingly frail. My mother is only 73 and physically very healthy, but she has Alzheimer's disease and her mind is failing her. I'm in my mid-40s and realizing that disability is coming for me too. I can now disturb the tranquility of a perfectly silent church just by the creaking of my knees. I wonder sometimes if many people are so desperate to avoid aging because we're so afraid of the way our society treats people with disabilities. We're afraid that people will push us away like stray dogs, tell us, "You don't belong. You're not wanted here." But Jesus wants us. He is the gate for the sheep, and whoever enters by him will come in and go out and find pasture in safety. And he is the Good Shepherd who knows his own sheep, and his own sheep know him. He calls us each by name. We hear his voice and we follow him. When one of us is lost, when we wander off or the other sheep run us out of the flock because we're disabled or overweight or addicted or just don't fit in, the Good Shepherd goes out to find us and bring us back home. He tells us, "I want you. With me, you belong." And in Jesus' flock, no one can push us away for long. The Good Shepherd will always go out to find us and bring us back to the sheepfold. When I try to imagine that sheepfold, what it looks like when everyone is wanted and everyone belongs, I picture Fiona Lanier's kindergarten class. Your first child starting kindergarten is anxiety-inducing for any parent, but for Heather and Justin, there was an added layer of worry. Not that long ago, it was legally permissible for public schools to refuse to educate children with disabilities. The attitude in some schools today still is that unless you can talk and move and learn like a quote-unquote normal kid, you don't belong in a classroom. Fiona is physically tiny. When she was 5, she was half the size of her classmates. She needed support walking down steps. She talked with a communication app loaded onto an iPad. What would school be like for her? Heather writes, "I was sending my kids simultaneously into great promise and great risk." But from the first day of school, the promise was being fulfilled and the risk was receding. Fiona's aide and speech therapist both had the same talker Fiona used, and her class had another talker so the kids could communicate with Fiona and with each other. Heather writes, and this isn't just a kind gesture in inclusion. It has become a useful literacy tool. In collaboration with the speech therapist, the kindergarten teacher decided to use some of the core vocabulary on Fiona's talker, those 119 frequently used and powerful words, as the targeted sight words for her class. Words like and can. Since the talker not only says those words when a kid touches them, but also features the word spelling, the talker can support each child in their literacy. When Fiona was wanted, when the school gave her what she needed to belong, she brought her entire class with her. Fiona's presence helped everybody to learn. That kindergarten classroom is one instance of the kingdom of God made visible on earth. And the kingdom of God is where the Good Shepherd leads us, where we are always wanted, where we always belong.